I am here with Daryn Peterson. We are at a district camp currently, but Daryn is a pastor at Tioga Assembly of God. Been there for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. And today we are talking about, as pastors, making sure that we take a Sabbath. We know biblically about Sabbath, how we're supposed to take a break every so often, but then we kind of see Jesus, when he was with his disciples and such, he got in trouble by the Pharisaical leaders for doing work on the Sabbath. So it's a good balance, to understand why we need it. But do you have a certain day of the week that you take off?
Yeah, I take off Fridays. Friday is my day off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you choose that day?
Well, it was Mondays. I started with Mondays, but what I found myself doing is then scheduling meetings on Mondays, Monday evenings, and then having, usually we were having prayer at the church on Monday morning, and not that that's work necessarily, but between the meetings and just some other things going on, I decided that if I took Fridays, then I could tie that in with Saturday, and usually take at least one of those days off for sure, full days off. So, but yeah,
I think
fine.
For me, I was the opposite. I went from Friday to Monday because for me it was Friday. That's kind of when people wanted to hang out, and so it was hard to.
Yeah.
Again, work and not work and stuff, but
yeah.
So let me ask you this: do you have a Sunday evening service?
No.
Okay, so what
we do? I'll say this though: we do run some ministries on Sunday nights, and I am usually involved. Okay. I have been involved in those. So yeah.
So I know for myself, one of the reasons I enjoyed taking Mondays is because it's just a time to recharge after a Sunday morning service.
Yes, for sure. I understand that.
So do you ever feel like that would be a benefit, or do you ever feel like, I kind of wish my off days were still on Monday, or?
No, I see that though. When I first went back to when I first went to Fridays off from Monday, it was production was low. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Motivation was low. Production was low. But now that I've kind of gotten in the swing of it, it's a lot better now.
Okay.
So Friday just seems to work better for me, and especially now that Monday is usually now a pretty productive day for me. So yeah.
So why is it important for pastors to take a Sabbath?
There's the obvious biblical answer, of God commands Sabbath, and we work Sundays. Yeah. So, I think it's a universal law: 7 or 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh you rest. And I know for me, I can't go very long, working 7 days a week, and even just maintaining any kind of, sometimes even passion gets lost in that. Obviously physically run down, emotionally, spiritually even run down. So for me it's just important to make a really good effort at least at taking that day off, at least one day off a week.
So do you, I know your off days are more towards the end of the week, so it'd be harder to do, but if you know that Fridays are going to be more work than rest because just stuff comes up, do you try to take another day of the week off that week, or just kind of let it slide and go through to the next?
Yeah, honestly, probably if I'm being honest, I let it slide.
Okay. And how does that affect you the following week then?
Yeah, usually I can do that for a couple of weeks, and honestly it's one of those, to be honest, one of those sins that, because it probably is sinful, it's one of those sins that we easily let ourselves get by with, because it's in the name of hard work.
Yeah. And ministry.
Yeah. So, but more than 2 weeks, I'm shot. I have to, maybe even that following week, take at least 2 days off, probably 3 even, or part of, a day or something. Yeah, extra day.
So earlier you were talking about doing your best to keep your off day clear from stuff. How do you, what efforts do you make to protect your Sabbath then? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, the church that I pastor, Tioga Assembly, they know. They know Friday's my day off. And the deacons know, the board knows. And so they know. And they, usually I don't really get calls. I don't get really a whole lot on Friday, because they know.
Okay.
And yeah, I just make an effort obviously not to schedule or plan anything ministry-wise on a Friday.
Do you leave your phone on?
I do leave my phone on.
Do you have a landline, or do you just use cell phone?
No landline, just cell phone. I do leave it on, but it's honestly most of the time my phone's on silent anyway. But specifically, it's on silent.
Okay.
On that day.
And I think something that probably helps though is your congregation knowing it's an off day. So if that's probably a suggestion for someone who's trying to protect their Sabbath, especially in the pastorate. Is communicating when you would or when you were planning to take your Sabbath day or your off day during the week, and hopefully your congregation will understand that and know that really if it's only really in emergencies if they need to get a hold of you.
I mean, definitely if it's an emergency, I think you and I we'll be there. I mean, so yeah.
With that in mind, then my next question is: let's say you're on a vacation, it's a week or two planned, and you get a call that one of the congregation members, maybe even like a founding member, someone that's been in their whole life, who's had a big effect on the church, they passed away, and their funeral is sometime during the week of your vacation before you get back. How do you react to that? What are your thoughts there?
I would be, torn, obviously, because it would be, just the struggle that we go through. I think is sometimes not all the time, but sometimes ministry and family. There's not always agreement, it's difficult to work that out sometimes. But in that situation, more than likely for me, that's probably a friend too.
Okay.
And so I would want to do whatever I can to help a friend. And so it would be difficult. I mean, if there might be some situations where it just might not be possible to get back. If you're, for instance, if you're overseas on vacation, that might not be possible. I don't usually go overseas. I don't go overseas for vacation. So I could get back, and I probably would.
Okay. So do you any recommendations to say maybe someone who's starting the pastorate or someone who's struggling to keep their Sabbath? What would you recommend them doing?
I think the first thing that you need to understand is you're not, really in that, and this is hard because I can't say I'm perfect, but really you're being disobedient to God is the first thing, is what it boils down to. And because you're being disobedient to God, then your physical, emotional, and spiritual health will be diminished as a result. Your ministry effectiveness will actually go down. As pastors, I don't know. I get paid a salary. I suppose there are some full-time pastors out there that might get an hourly salary, but I don't know how that would work, but we get a salary. And so for us, working harder, working longer, I'll say that, working longer hours doesn't help us with our pay, and it'll actually decrease our ministry effectiveness.
Yeah.
I would say that, that's a couple of big things I would say. Not only that, but if you are married and in the pastorate, you have to have some time not doing ministry together where you're just having fun together, just relaxing together. So
That's true. I think another thing there too, I think, is that we as pastors we're held to a little bit of a higher standard than what our congregations
for
would.
sure, and we should be.
And if we're not taking our Sabbath, it'd be kind of hard to go to one of our congregation members who aren't taking theirs and be like,
Absolutely.
hey.
And I think, I've been doing some thinking about that recently too. I think we need to be emphasizing to our congregations more rest.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, just following Jesus' example. There were times he had, just powerful times of ministry, and then he went away. And Luke says, and we don't know how often this is, but Luke says that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray, and that's rest for Jesus. He's with his heavenly Father, his family.
That's true.
And but we don't know how often that is. But if it says often, I don't know. But, so.
Yeah, that's good. So those things to take away from this is that if you're not taking a Sabbath, you're disobeying God's will, and you never want to do that. Especially as a pastor, you'd be hurting your own ministry doing that. And secondly, if Jesus did it, and Jesus is perfect, how much more important is it for us to do it? So,
good.
But hopefully, listening to this conversation that we've had, that you maybe are able to take some out of it and apply it to your own ministry. And we encourage you just to take that Sabbath, because
you need to.
I think one of the struggles in ministry is burnout as well.
Yeah.
And if you're not taking Sabbaths, burnout will happen for sure and quickly.
Yeah.
So please be taking your Sabbaths. But with that, thank you guys for watching. Be blessed and have a great day.